today, right? But Liiv Sandbox, they haven't had that turning point. They haven't had that break-in moment. And it's just been kind of generally lethargic gameplay. It doesn't come together. There's no early game. There's no late game. And they need to find something. There is always going to be a 10th place team, but you gotta at some point snap out of it. They do still look happy, right? And I guess at some point you become impervious to the pain of getting smashed. 0-8 currently.
Yeah.
In their last 8 games.
Definitely something you don't want to get too used to. Definitely want to try to break yourself out of that. As we'll get into the pick ban here and see where it goes. The Seraphine going to be shown some respect here. Renekton and Kalista seems like at least Liiv Sandbox have done their due diligence. They've done their studying.
Yeah.
And they're not going to let these two very highly favored picks here go to the side of Gen.G.
And Gen.G, one of the few teams that will always ban the Seraphine on blue side because it doesn't fit into their game plan. The game plan is a draft early prio, get Clit or Rascal or BDD or Ruler ahead, and then snowball that lead into an immediate victory through great objective control, and more so than any other team, like consistent dives, right? Like actually pushing, and it's not a surprise. It's not something that I think makes sense in a lot of other teams, but it is Gen.G, and
yeah, it's
the
BDD.
BDD special.
Yeah. He has played 13 games of Syndra and 8 games of Azir. His next most played is Orianna at 3 games. The guy plays 2 things. That's it.
I mean, it's better than Showmaker, who plays 1 thing.
True.
So,
well,
I guess.
Yeah.
Question mark.
He's like only Syndra and then maybe Zoe. This does mean that Liiv Sandbox will pick up the Udyr. So they're at least going to favor that pick here. Will be interesting to see what they pick alongside of it.
And after last game, I would not be surprised to see a... okay. I really like this. I think that the Camille blind pick is not something that's easily punished in a general matchup, right? If it's something that's actually kind of undervalued with how strong it currently is, of course. Did get a little bit of a tap, and it has not been as popular. I don't really feel like the nerfs warrant her being really down the tier list, as we do see. I'm going to go on a limb and assume there's just Clip playing Lilia here.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I mean, everything is possible, but what we're seeing from the Sandbox here is one of the issues that I might have with this is if you do get a counter pick on both of, or specifically on top side, BDD is generally going to have prio until like Fade is able to, evolve his laser and actually like clear waves fast enough. Up until that point, you really need to play respectful. And while the 2v2 is really strong, Camille's wave control early game is not necessarily that good. And that is something that, as Liiv Sandbox, you're not really loving with the Udyr. We've seen time and time again that you do need to either find an early lead or have prio in your lanes. Well, the prio is not, I don't think, is really going to happen. So that means that you need to find some big plays there. But Rascal, I know you love your Renekton, but he's banned. Can I interest you in some Cyan? I mean...
Sure.
Honestly,
let's do it.
I think if there is a pick that's actually really good into Cyan, it is specifically Camille because of like the absurd amount of true damage she does and like how she can kind of negate the resistances. But it's not a great matchup by any means, right? It's just like it's fairly muted, and then eventually you will outskill on the side lane. But Gen.G are not necessarily looking to side lane; they already have a lot of hard engage. So I wouldn't mind a Cyan pick up here. I think it's really good for Gen.G.
Yeah, already a decent amount of top laners banned and picked away from Rascal. You see the Gnar Jace Renekton ban, Trio alongside of the Camille taken away. And the Kai'Sa was left up until now, which is pretty crazy. A lot of teams first picking it on either side.
Do it. Lock the Tristana.
What did you say?
Tristana.
Oh.
I thought I was close enough for you to hear me, but unfortunately, I guess we're not in sync as I thought. Well, that's painful. Very, very unfortunate. I actually legitimately would love the Tristana here. This is, of course, the safer option where into the Camille specifically, I quite like this because it does mean that Ruler can play fairly impervious in late game team fights. Tristana might run into a situation where if you get caught mid-jump, right, by something, and Croco and Prince, or sorry, Summon and Prince jump on top of you with the Camille and the Kaiser combination, like you just got blown up. With Featherstorm, that's not really an issue.
Okay.
So Rascal special.
Volibear ran back here by Rascal. Straight into the Camille. See how this one works out. Kind of liking the way that Gen.G's draft has shaped up here. I feel like it would be almost perfect if it were a Scion instead. But maybe that's my bias showing.
No, I kind of agree. But I think Scion slots aren't any team comp. No big surprises coming out here from the side of Liiv Sandbox. It will be a super straightforward type of situation where Liiv Sandbox have a really good, like, straight up backline dive composition where you can dive in deep with your Alistair, your Kai'Sa, and your Camille, whereas Croco and Fade like don't fit in super well with that. Croco, of course, can kind of keep up the Fade, possibly going to be left on his own a little bit while the rest of his teams dive in. Gen.G, multiple ways they can play it out. They can play straight up front to back, especially if Rascal can find an early lead, get really tanky, right, as we know the Volibear can do. And then provide space. This would be a lovely game for Clid to go Moonstone. Will he do it?
No.
Probably not.
No, he won't. I've already given up hope. Korean junglers, they just don't.
Listen,
they don't do it.
I have faith. It's possible. Maybe this will be the time where he does it. But as you say, it's not very likely. And this is the type of comp where as Gen.G, you know, you have a really strong top 2v2. You have Ruler you can just leave alone. Meaning that Live can, especially post 6, meaning that Live can just freely roam around the map. BDD knows his ear. As basically, the only thing that would make it better is a Renaction in the top lane, but Rascal never, ever gets to play that. So
hopefully never again. For you know, for the teams that play against him. Yeah, I can say. For us, you know, it's great. It's fun to watch, right? He's excellent on the picks.
So good.
It's always great to watch. Players that are great on picks play those picks, but not going to happen for a while here for Rascal as we are ready to jump into game number 1 of the series. And we'll have to wait and see. Are we going to have a game 3 tonight? Doesn't look super likely, but, you know, Gen.G, there are times where they just come in and they stomp the weaker teams, and it just makes it look like it's impossible for this team to win against it. But we'll just have to wait and see, you know, the way it comes out here. We'll see if Liiv Sandbox actually come with their game plan tonight, and if Gen.G maybe slip up.
I'm personally not feeling super positive regarding the chances for a Liiv Sandbox win here. I do feel like the possibility is there for Liiv Sandbox to, in the early game, look towards that strong 2v2 that I pointed out earlier. Maybe a skirmish with the power of Prince and Aphid once you do hit 6, but as a whole, I have a hard time seeing how they are going to be able to actually match, specifically because it is Gen.G, right? Because of how strong they are.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I was taking a look at the runes, and I saw 7 biscuits. We have
It's a lot of cookies.
Yeah, it's a very nice rune to have just for sustain. Even the Lilia picked it up in the jungle, so not going for like the boots or anything like that you see on some of the tankier junglers and stuff like that. We're taking a look at some of the win rates here. Unfortunately, the only 2 players that have won on these 2 guys are Effort and Summit. The other 3 have not picked up a win on these specific champions.
It's just a rough place to be in. As we already see, I was going to talk about, are they going to use this topside prior, but Clid already in the jungle.
Yeah, he's just in here with the red buff, able to get Croco very low. He's just going to start the blue. He's like, yeah, sure, we'll just leash this up. He does have to be careful, though, because he's got ignited. Will have to flash the fat blue wall there and get out of harm's way. But an extremely aggressive start from Clid,
who I think will be able to pick up an experience lead later on, but simultaneously he's he missed out on a bot camp, so it might not even be worth it in the long run. Also, obviously used to forced to use his flash. We'll be pathing towards top side. I think that Rascal did get the bounce there early on, meaning that there is a possibility for them. As Rascal goes low here.
He's got a shield though, and he's a big bear. He's getting in there and forces Summit to flash at level 3. So Rascal just once again showing off with his top lane dominance.
This is where the reality of Udyr is that he's an old champion that can't actually cross terrain, ever. Which generally is not a problem when you move at Mac. I don't know how much, but it's definitely a lot. But in this specific instance, BDD just freely dashes over the wall. And we do see that Clid, like that early invade didn't really pay off. He didn't have the prior in bot lane, meaning that a play like that can actually get punished. So that was really nice coming out from Effort. It has, however, meant that Clid can now pass towards the bot side scuttle. And once he does his next clear, he will be 1 camp up. So it's a tiny lead in the end. It did kind of pay off. As long as he doesn't get caught, he should have his flash available for a post-6 play. That's really when you're going to be looking for the Lilia to get something going. And Rascal also immediately teleports towards his top side to try and keep that pressure up. And this should provide Clid with any opportunities. And it's something that, like, I don't think we've seen anyone else like really prioritize this Volibear besides Gen.G, and it does fit in as like a Renekton light, right? Like, it's not the same champion, but it has some similarities. It is good setup with a point-and-click stun. You can dive turrets fairly effectively by, you know, neutralizing them as opposed to Clid.
Clid is just being so annoying.
Yeah.
This is like the most annoying jungle play. If you're playing up against this, it's not super effective, right? He didn't steal rather, too much. They've got the same amount of CS, but he's just there over and over and over again. As Rascal takes another great trade here up on the top side.
Really nicely done, right? And if Rascal can like keep this kind of performance up with the Volibear and actually like keep pressuring these lanes so much, find these individual outplays, like we might eventually get to a point where he's like, well, you know, it's not just Renekton you need to worry about, it's also my Volibear. And I'm not sure whether or not he's reached that point yet. I don't think the Volibear is as potent. But we'll see what is going to happen here and to what extent he can get the damage going. One thing that doesn't surprise us is BDD is on his trade markers here, and he's already up 10 CS. That's not bad.
Yeah, definitely a nice little start for him over there. And, you know, you were talking about, like, bringing in, like, mini Renekton, if you will. We're going to have a lot of trades, though, so that idea is going to have to stop. As BDD does get stunned up. Rascal trying to go 1v2 up in the top side. He's just slapping Summit, who does not have his flash, and he was ticking it up, and Kroko has to run away as level 4 Udyr had no chance against that guy.
I'm calling it, you know. Maybe you don't have the Crocodile, but the bear is there, and Rascal finding the 1v2 outplay, crucially hitting level 6 at a point where Summit's still level 5, Kroko at level 4 at the time of that play. And there is just nothing they can do, and immediately, like, it's not just that play, which in of itself is already terrible, but Clid immediately capitalizes, is able to pick up some Raptors here, and that's not just a pick on the Camille, but also some chicken. This matchup that was already hard for Summit is now going to get even worse, and this is trademark Gen.G play, what we're seeing here, with them immediately finding a lead just for, like, the sheer power of these picks.
Yeah. Pretty interesting to see. And take a look at the bot lane. So far, we haven't really had too much action down here. It's been a bunch of trading back and forth. It does look like Life is going to be able to hold that wave so that they're pretty even on the CS. But we really got to break this down because Rascal hits level 6 at the perfect time.
And this is where the value from the Volibear comes in. So there's a couple of things. You get the insane amount of health from your ultimate, combined with the power of Shield Bash that you have in your rune set, and then also like the shield coming down. We're still at the point in the game where there is actually so much base damage that comes in there. So all those skills hit exactly at the same time. You see Rascal, he's not ready for that amount of damage. He just gets blown up instantly, and then Kroko is just standing there like, I don't
yeah. Level 4 Udyr with like boots and a ruby crystal. He's like, what do I do against this guy? Well, the answer is absolutely nothing. As we are going to have a pause, as Effort has disconnected.
And do you really expect Rascal to like go for the decision to turn there? Because I think a lot of other top lanes would have just decided, okay, I got to piece out of here, use the shield defensively, use my stun to like use the movement speed and run away.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that. He just kills you, and now he has an like a 2-wave lead and a kill.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right, with the Camille. It's like you have great gank setup. The Udyr can come in and have great follow-up and all that jazz, but when you're going up against a level 6 Volibear and you don't have your ultimate, it's going to be so difficult to kill him. Just the sustainability and all of that fun stuff. And the fact that he was able to pick up that level 6 first is really big as well, just the way the lane had been going. And so they're going to use this early lead, try to take down an early objective here, but actually considering just letting it leash now. As you see Croco and Fate especially coming in and pushing the wave. Maybe they wanted to give this blue over to BDD first and didn't want to have to try to fight that one at that exact timing.
And you could even argue that that was also partially the payoff from Clid like harassing Croco, right? Because while it didn't actually amount to that much, it did mean that Croco got slowed down in his clear. And I think in a normal situation, the Udyr at that point might have been level 5, right? And it might not have played it, changed to play substantially, but these are like the small edges that I think actually do matter in a game. Like you're playing against Gen.G, where if you find these little small edges, they will push them to their utmost potential. And it's something that I think they do better than every other team within the LCK right now. As they are going for the Herald here.
Yeah, and this is on Vision. I mean, Liiv Sandbox knows this is happening. But can they do anything is the question. It's 3-on-3, they're gonna jump onto the Lilia, but he has a stopwatch already, and we're setting up for BDD to just sweep them in alongside the big bear that is Rascal. Summit is desperate to try to get something going. Effort even gets here first before Life, and he's level 6, so might be able to help out and take down the bear. He does at least that. But at the end of the day, Gen.G still trade 1-for-1, and they get the Rift Herald.
Bear getting a little too hungry for his own good there. Chasing on the kill, and Prince also rotating up, so even if we didn't see the collapse from the rest of the sandbox there was still the ability of the killer instinct that did come in. Possibly not also a play towards this Mountain Drake, because what Gen.G did do really well was shoving the waves, right? They got a big wave coming in bot side that's definitely going to get caught. And that's going to get them into an even bigger advantageous position, because Ruler was able to just freely, you know, set up the wave in a really nice way. There we go. Look, that's ripe for the taking. I don't know if they are going to give it over to Clid, but it looks like Ruler, he will be in time to pick this up. And that is just juicy, juicy wave coming in there. Ruler will, I think, still have a level lead at that point in time. Mountain Drake is available here. Cam Tank has just been finished for Rascal, who chose to teleport to topside, and I think that Summit, he cannot leave that lane, right? It's not like other champions where you can just teleport underneath the turret, because I think Rascal will just up and stun you, and you're like, ah, well, yeah, that's a problem.
You'd be in a lot of danger for sure. As you can see, they do a nice job of zoning them out, and then try to get onto Clid, but stopwatch, pretty good item.
And even though I think Clid was looking for the double sleep there, he only finds a single one. But without that stopwatch, the play looks entirely different, because Summit and Croco definitely have the damage to burst down this Lilia. But because he has the stopwatch available, you can just kind of slow down the pace of the play. And then here, like I said, that's just not really necessary. Rascal shouldn't go for that. So they go for the first play here.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to get the turret, but look at how much damage that mid-turret has already sustained in this game. And this is not something you often see, right? You might see it in the top side if the top lane matchup is going really well, as you see here, right? Rascal has already almost gotten the two turret plates up in the top side, which would have been a prime spot to put in the Rift Herald. But because of that rotation after the Rift Herald take, where they did the damage with Ruler in the mid lane, they were just able to throw it down in mid lane and get kind of the same effect. I suppose it was easier for Liiv Sandbox to group up and defend it, so they didn't take down the turret at 12 minutes, but they get it super low, and no doubt BDD will eventually get it here.
Rascal, buddy.
Yeah, he's in a little bit of trouble. He gets that Hextech ultimatum on him, and now he's just dead. You mentioned it before, maybe that Bear is a little bit too hungry in this game.
And this is starting to look a little bit more like the Rascal that we saw against the Freakout, right? Where Rascal did actually get punished repeatedly by Keen. Now this is not getting solo killed twice by an Aurelia, like within the first 4 minutes of the game, sure. But it is unnecessary. I don't really think that you need to go in that big. And I also want to throw a shout out towards Effort here, because he's the one who's actually been enabling a lot of these plays. And Effort is a player that, throughout I think a big part of his career, has been criticized for being overly aggressive. But he's one of the reasons why Liiv Sandbox actually looking pretty good here thus far, because in a 2v2 scenario, I think Rascal is still fine here. But the additional CC just means that like there's no way that Clid can ever commit to that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's actually paying off. They're kind of punishing the overextension coming through, and instead of a 2k gold lead, now Gen.G are sitting on a 1k gold lead, which is still good, right? This is not a composition that like is going to definitely lose late game. You still have a beefy front line, you have Desire, you have the Azir, like you'll be fine. But it is something that I think Gen.G of all teams should not do. I mean, I don't think any team should do it. But like, if Domon Kia
generally
do it,
just a bad thing.
well, yeah. But if Domon Kia do it, like you have faith in them to like pull it back later, whereas Gen.G feel more like a, as long as we have grip of the game, we're like super solid, and once we lose it, we do kind of struggle a little bit. So you give them a little bit less leeway when it comes to stuff like this.
We have the Divine Thunder here onto the Camille. Not something you see every day, but into this Volibear matchup, gonna feel quite nice. Kronko's been hanging around this mid lane quite a lot. He's been looking for this gank on a BDD who is here and has this flash, so it's not really looking too effective so far. But you can also see the difference in the plate gold tier. Obviously, Gen.G with those early plays was able to pocket a lot of early game gold tier. They gave some back with Rascal getting caught a couple of times, but other than that, still enjoying an early lead. And you're gonna like that when you have the Azir Xayah combo once again. We've seen how strong the Lilia is. It's not super angry Gen.G pummeling you into the ground, but it's still a early lead here for the team.
I'd say this is moderately annoyed Gen.G. Like their range from Oakmat to, you know, just not very happy. And I think that's where they are right now, is to go in again.
Oh, Fate with the gank comes in and taps them down. Chaos Storm, they were not expecting the victor in that brush, I'll tell you that. Trying to set up their own 2v1. And it did not work out. Clid able to at least run away here, but that's like 3 plays in a row now where Liiv Sandbox are getting back in the top side.
I was about to say, it's not just 3 plays in a row, it's Rascal literally going from like finding a 1v2 solo kill to like getting way over aggressive 3 times in a row, and now possibly leading to a loss of the second Rift Herald. Now obviously this Rift Herald, not as good as the first one, but still, Gen.G, it's not necessary, right? Like you were up 2k, now it's 1.5k, or sorry, it went down from 2k by 1.5 to only 500 gold.
Yeah.
And they might still, they'll probably still get the first turtle block, right? I think they can still take this dragon. They still have the team fights, which have been impeccable even in their games where they've looked less strong. But it just feels unnecessary.
We get the second Rift Herald here on the Krako. They want to take down this turret up on the top side. They will be successful at that. They have a ton of pings onto that second turret as well in the top lane. They're going to take that down. This mid turret, as we mentioned before, was kind of inevitable that it would go down eventually. But here's Effort again on the top side. He's spotted, but it also means that Rascal can't just sit under the turret and stop the push. So Shirley here looking to get a second charge onto this turret.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you take this as Gen.G. I think they can definitely play for Drake. Like, they definitely need to pick on Drake here. Otherwise, it is just a straight up, like, macro blunder. Because, as you say, Rascal, no way you can get near the turret, and that's fine if you then kind of capitalize. They do clear out the topside jungle. I'm fairly certain they only left 1 wolf, because I did see BDD move over there on the map. So I think that was cleared out. And they will pick up the Drake here. But Gen.G not able to like consistently find the gold lead. They might be looking at a Cloud Soul here as well, which thus far we've been able to avoid. But these other type of situations where as Gen.G you're getting moderately worried, right? Because this game started off the way we expected to, and then there's like multiple mistakes like this where Rascal just doesn't respect his opponents. Because even if, right, like even if Fate isn't there, I think he might still die. Like maybe the ultimate keeps him alive, but this is Camille we're talking about. Right?
Yeah.
Why would you go for the high-risk play and give her a window back into the game? Like, you know how well she's going to scale. Summit has been one of the upsides of Liiv Sandbox. It's not necessary.
Yeah. I'm glad you keep mentioning Summit, because early on this year, he wasn't super effective. You know, he wasn't very impressive, but now he's coming back. Every game, I feel like he's improving. He's getting back to his original form. And you can see, he's certainly back in the game. I mean, this Camille is really difficult for them to deal with. And yes, Rascal, he's kind of hugging his turret right now and still taking unfortunate trades. This will just continue unless Rascal does get some help. But you can see that Krako in terms of help. He's been the guy that's kind of been the right-hand man right now to get Summit back in this game.
Now, the good thing for Gen.G is that even though Rascal has been bleeding gold, in part due to Liiv Sandbox really capitalized, right? Because it's easy to criticize Rascal, but it's also Liiv Sandbox actually like continuously sending Fade up top, sending Effort up top twice, right? To try and make these plays work. We're looking at a situation where Gen.G still, they can go into the teamfight stage without being afraid, and Summit might get caught here.
Yeah, I think they found the opening. There's a wide open lane here. Summit is going to flash away. And they get the summoner down. Note that there are no objectives right now for the Sandbox to take, so I think that's a good timing to go for something like that.
They also don't have the vision necessary to like continue there, because I think if you really want to, you can commit on Summit. But as you can see, the bot side jungle fairly blinded in terms of vision. You might run into an overextension there, so I don't want to take that risk. Instead, decide to just take the flash for what it is. Which Summit, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Camille has so much built-in mobility with her hookshot that it's not going to really dissuade her from making plays in those side lanes. And as I was just saying, the upside for Gen.G here is that we saw this in the game against the Freaka Freaks. Yes, this is a game that has strong early game, but they also are super, super adept mechanically in finding these team fights, right? Like finding those clutch between life or death plays that can like kind of flip an entire fight on its head. That's where Gen.G excels. And personally, I think that as Liiv Sandbox, you're really happy with how this game has gone so far.
Yeah.
You need to keep the pressure up.
Well, you can see that they're trying to pressure here in the mid lane, trying to do as much as possible. They throw down the Chaos Storm, they zone away Ruler. But again, you're up against Zaya Azir, so it's going to be pretty difficult to full-on engage, and they have so much wave clear that you're just looking for little wins at this point in time. I think this might be one of those games where we just kind of sit back, you know, sit in the side lanes, farm it up a little bit.
Yep.
And just kind of wait until these Drake fights happen.
Enjoy the ride, so to speak.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's great.
Gives you and me, you know, some time to get to know each other. Because I don't think there's actually going to happen anything before we see this Drake setup here in a minute.
Well,
I say it like,
yeah.
I want stuff to happen, you know, it's more fun. But this is the LCK, and I feel like even though the split has been better, we still get these little moments where it's just you and me.
Yeah, 2021 has been good so far.
It really has been.
I feel like cutting down on the lull states a bit. And we have teleport coming in here from BDD.
Or BDD?
Not Rascal, he's still up in the top lane. And basically we're kind of just waiting for this Drake to spawn, trying to get as much vision and posture as well as possible before this big objective.
I love the big zoom out.
I wish you could do that as you're playing the game.
Oh my god, that would be so good.
That would be a little bit overpowered.
I mean, everyone would get it, right?
True.
So then,
yeah.
Could it really be overpowered?
It's overpowered for everybody. Ooh, Fate, he's got a great spot there. That's a good engage from the Alistair. Life. Gonna take about half of his health in damage. Just essentially for free. But BDD's here, and he looks like he wants to shut down everything. Look at this poke that's coming down. They've found Prince, actually, but no engage comes in. as the laser pushes them away. And yes, they get a bit of poking down, but at the same time, it's not enough to just take the streak for free or anything like that.
And Liiv Sandbox actually playing it super well here. Gen.G a little bit desperate there to try and make a play on Prince. Just a single man sleep is not really enough at this point in the game.
Yeah.
And this is an important Drake here.
Effort can just stand here. He's got the Unbreakable Will. There's no steal that is possible unless Clid wanted to try to go for the steal and die maneuver. So that's just going to be the Infernal over to the side of Liiv Sandbox, and we have Ocean Soul right after it. So definitely going to be good for both of these sides. And that's a big Drake for Liiv Sandbox to pick up as the individual one. They're definitely in this game.
And a big problem of Gen.G not kind of continuing the snowball that they found earlier on in the game is that Volibear doesn't actually have as many defensive steroids as a lot of the other tanks will be. He's very much a bruiser, right?
Zion.
Sorry? I didn't hear you over, you were already calling that in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, Past Valdez was definitely right on that one because I think that if you get that 2-0 start, right, and then you actually build on that, Volibear brings way more to the table, right? Because it allows you to, as Gen.G loves to do, to actually dive turrets, to not really care about the enemy backline, right? So like just jump past that, immediately blow them up. But if you lose your lead, Rascal is not going to be nearly as reliable in terms of frontline that he provides for BDD and Ruler. And you are playing into a composition that does have incredibly strong backline dive. We talked about this before, but Summit is a player that can actually carry these games. If he can get on top of BDD, blow him up with like a single precision protocol, followed up by, you know, a laser from Root, or Prince diving into the backline. Look! Camille is still level 15, right? Like, this is not
Gets sundered.
He's just on 2 items. Like, this is only going to get worse. Yes, it's 2 important items, but this damage is only going to become more and more obscene. And this is on Rascal. Look at his items. What happens if that's BDD or Ruler? Featherstone provides a lot of survivability, but it will rely on Gen.G actually playing this team fight super well and denying Summit any possibility to go in. Because if Summit can get onto the backline, effort is much more telegraphed, right? So then you're in a situation where it's going to be Fate and Prince trying to do long-range damage against Gen.G, and then I do have faith in BDD's Azir, right? There's a reason why he's champion this much.
He has played 8 games so far. He's 7-1, so he's you know, he's pretty good on the pick, no doubt. And the side lane trading that Rascal is attempting to do is it's not looking pretty already. Only going to get worse, as we've said. And you can see Gen.G, they're trying to push the issue a little bit in terms of really clearing out all the vision around this Baron pit. They do, of course, have some really great Baron damage. We've seen a lot of Azir Xayah even today that have just kind of chunked through these objectives. Not to mention the Lilia alongside of it.
And I really love, we haven't talked about this yet, I love the pickup from Summit there to get the Ravenous Hydra as a second item because it allows you to both have way more shove-in power and like pressure the sideline a lot more, while simultaneously being able to take short trades with Rascal and then just heal up of, you know, off of a wave or of a jungle camp. Possible collapse here.
And you can see Summit is waiting in the wings. And there's certainly a world in which he gets over the wall here, as he will, and you can see Life is just going to get pummeled down. Teleport comes in now from Rascal, but, you know, they're not going to try to force this engage 4v5. Rascal now is just going to get jumped on, but Ruler does an insane amount of damage with the perfect Featherstorm angle. We got the sleep now onto Summit. Do they have the damage is the question to chip away at him. Rascal is big, and he did not go down in that fight, but at the end of the day, it is just Gen.G trading the 1 kill back.
And this is one of those things I was talking about earlier where Gen.G, even when they're not in an advantageous position, these are like the moments of brilliance that you're looking for from a player like Ruler that has such a storied history to just find a kill seemingly out of nowhere. Should effort be anywhere near any feathers whatsoever? Absolutely not, but it's still a play that I think a lot of other teams wouldn't make, and then all of a sudden, like, Liiv Sandbox can hard commit there, and then they blow you up, and then you lose a team fight near the Baron pit, rather, and then you're just really in very, very unfortunate waters. As I don't know why they are so happy to go for this as aggressively without the rest of the team really ready to position. You see a beautiful gravity field coming out there as well. from Fate, really alleviating any possible... Oh, effort. That is not what you want to see. Yeah, that's... I don't have any words for that one. I was like, that was all Ruler, but there was also a little bit of help from Effort there. And then the chase down comes through. As yet again, Summit in this side lane. I'm loving what we're seeing from Liiv Sandbox. This is not a 2-10 team, right? Like, this is actually looking like the Liiv Sandbox we saw in round 1.
Yeah.
Where they are actually able to decently deal with their opponents. And it's definitely surprising to me here. If they pick up a couple of Ocean Drakes and they get a bit more beefiness and longevity in these fights, Gen.G might have a really rough one ahead of them.
Effort's got to be the one that pushes forward and gets the vision. I mean, Krakow could do it as well. We've seen him do a bit of that. And you can see that Gen.G's game plan is like, we just want to group up as 5 and take a fight and take objectives, right? There are a lot of pings on the Baron as it has been started here. Summit has TP. Probably going to go back and buy something. Oh, no, he's actually just going to stick around. So half health here onto the Baron. TP coming in now from Fate. Question is it too little too late? A big invade, or rather engage comes in from Effort, and down goes BDD immediately. But so much damage is coming out from Ruler. He's trying to single-handedly carry this one. He's already taken down 2, as now Rascal is going to get that big engage this time around. Liiv Sandbox, a lot of damage still on their side, and Ruler having a little bit of trouble just frontlining here, as he will have to flash away from the hook shot threatened by Summit. As now Liiv Sandbox have found this. They're looking for more, but the shield will come down onto Rascal. And it looks like they have gotten away, although hookshot miss. Flash laser, is it enough? No, he's just gonna die, as Ruler will as well. At least he gets the kill, but he flashed for that one.
Wow, Liiv Sandbox finding the fight there, and it is a beautiful engage from Effort that really sets that one in motion, and BDD is not able to get anything done here, so they're tanking in the Baron pit. The Hex Flash comes over the wall, and the only reason why this fight isn't immediately won is because actually getting damage on Ruler is not happening yet. BDD dies there before he's able to use the stopwatch that I think he has. Prince so deep, and if Prince positions better there, I think this might just be a team fight win, but he goes deep in with the Killer Instinct earlier on. And that means that from this point on, Ruler is just not threatened in this fight. And I hate to like say it again and again and again, but Ruler is just such a strong AD carry, right? Like the position that he has in the team fight, the ability to dish out as much damage as he does, to then get killed here is rather unfortunate. But in the grand scheme of things, doesn't actually lead to an objective pickup. I feel like he earned staying alive there. But yeah, it's not happening, right?
Is a good item.
This is such a competitive game. Like
I know.
I thought the first series might provide us with you know, maybe some more entertainment or like less one-sided action, but it's actually
forth.
Yeah,
this one turns out to be the one.
So good.
Yeah, it's pretty nice, especially in the beginning where we saw Rascal get the 1v2 and the kill. I was like, okay, no. Here we go. Like. I guess we're just going to have the quick 2-0 and this one is over as well.
There is no sign, but the Gen.G train will still come into the station. And we're now at a point where this is the reason why Gen.G keeps grouping up and looking for these fights. Right? No one can challenge Summit. Like, no one is going to be able to deal with this Camille. Like, not even remotely, right? Like, it doesn't matter what lane assignment you put on it. Camille is going to be an unmeasurable threat, and that's why Gen.G is drawn to this Baron like moths to the flame. They need to try and force team fights.
Lit is really low.
So low already.
But they're forcing it. They have the damage, and yes, Effort comes in, but it might be to his death. As now teleport here from Rascal. He's just going to get gravity fielded there. Nice engage now from Life as he finds the front line, and Prince just dies in the front line again. And that is just huge for Gen.G. They get the pick out of the enemy AD carry and support, and they get the Baron.
And the Liiv Sandbox topside tries so hard to fast boards. And it is the fake bear that gets it done, not the real bear.
Yeah. Definitely not Bear on the side of Krakow, but he's faster. Doesn't matter.
And it's the top side from Liiv Sandbox that keeps them in this game, but it's the bot side that has such difficulty. I was really happy with Effort's play early in this game, but both him and Prince have had such difficulties in these team fights.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about the Baron damage. It's insane on the side of Gen.G. They want to force 5v5s, and they do it so well over here. Now watch Prince, he's right in the front. He just immediately gets engaged upon him. That's it.
And they get greedy, seeing that Rascal is rather low, and they get funneled into the pit. I think 100%. Just let Effa die, right? Like, you've already lost the Baron. You're never getting into a situation where you get into that pit, kill Rascal and Liiv, and then get out, right? Like, if you do that, it's a fight to the death. I don't think you should take a fight to the death to a team that has just gotten Baron. And especially not when Ruler was still completely fine throughout all of that. Has a GA now as well, so taking him down is going to become even harder. And the win conditions are slowly starting to disappear for Liiv Sandbox. The one upside is that, like, a possible Soul is infinitely far away. But BDD, I think he can just stay underneath his turrets. He has a stopwatch available. He can just chill there and at least keep Summit at bay. And then there's nothing that the rest of Liiv Sandbox can do.
Yeah, especially with the Baron.
Oh, yeah.
You can just sit back there behind the minions. And you can see now Rascal is on at the bottom side here. It feels like this game is just ripped apart now. It's like Gen.G found the engage. And now they're looking to take down Liiv. He has a stopwatch as well, though. Takes a ton of that pressure, but the damage is huge out of this Victor. With a Chaos Storm on top of that Rel. Not able to survive. As Gen.G not even going to get that bottom side turret. So Liiv Sandbox, they find the big pick.
Yeah, not perfectly coordinated from Gen.G there. The one upside is that they did have a nice shove, so they almost get the turret there. You wanna go? No, they're not gonna go. It's a bit far away. But they play that fight without BDD there, right? And you do need him. He provides so much consistent damage, and without it, your comp is in a little bit of a rough position as the Sandbox possibly looking to contend.
Oh, Krako! He's best in the river. That's where he lives.
He comes out, you know, stalking prey, and all of a sudden comes up, chumps away your dragon, and runs off.
And that's pretty free. I mean, they didn't even have to commit to that. Krako literally just sat in the brush next to the dragon and ran away with it.
And here we see again, Summit is the one who sets up this play. At Liiv, like, you know that there's vision there, you know that they can engage over the wall, so there's just not really an excuse. And BD challenges his teleport, but by the time he's there, like, he needs to walk through a Chaos Storm into a funnel, like, towards a Victor, which he's definitely not going to do. So he just give up a free kill. That's also the reason why they can't, like, super hard commit on top of Kroko there, because if you overcommit and Fade all of a sudden gets within your backline, right, finds a big laser, blows someone up, then you might lose the game outright there. The real problem is, or losing the game is exaggerated, but, like, it creates a really bad situation where you don't get to use your Baron at all. Unfortunately for them, that's happened regardless, and now Liiv Sandbox actually have a tangible win condition. If they can just hold on to this game for dear life, for 3.5 more minutes, and Kroko can find either a Miracle Steal, or they can set up with Summit in the sideline, maybe Fade as well, because both of these carries in this late game 1-3-1 scenario are absolutely disgusting. Prince can really easily get to both side lanes with Killer Instincts. Liiv Sandbox can still win this game, Valdez.
Oh yeah, there's absolutely a chance, and I think they're going to be just fine to hold on to the game for 3.5 minutes. I mean, just sit your Victor in the mid lane, just chill out.
Oh boy.
Now, Summit is really far down the lane.
Oh boy.
And he's got Alistair nearby, so he feels pretty safe, but the stun comes in, denies the hook shot. And here comes BDD. They're just going to try to 2v1 it as we have a fight in the river as well. You can see that Clint gets caught up on the top side, and Ruler is now all alone. He has his GA, but now BDD going to try to help him here. Flash over the wall. This fight is very messy. Liiv Sandbox going to take big advantage of this one. Ruler still all alone on the top side. He does not have Featherstorm. The stun comes in, and he is just dead. And they didn't even kill Summit.
Is this going to be the end of the loss streak? Is like Liiv Sandbox actually going to beat Gen.G here in this game? It's looking more and more likely.
Rascal is still fighting here. And the team just ignores Rascal. They're like, yeah, whatever, Bear. We'll just push the mid lane. Now, I don't think they can end here because there's just so many turrets. They do have a lot of damage, though, and it is 37 minutes in, but still.
I mean, honestly, BD and Ruler are the ones who have with wave clear. They're not here for a long shot. Well, if Sandbox is going to end the game here.
They're going to go for it. They're going to at least try to do it here. They got about 10 seconds. The engage comes in as the sleep is not there from Clid. They get the Alistair, but that is about it. Life tries to come in here and delay it, but they're just going to focus down that Nexus, and Liiv Sandbox will be taking this game. Just hit the Nexus, and that they do. 37 minutes in.